you're a Tennessee fan, maybe it's time for baseball season. Welcome to the third Saturday in October, your SEC Water Cooler podcast for the rest of us. Find us online at thirdsaturdayiNoctober.com, on social media at TSIO Pod. Support the show by sharing it with a friend, or finding us on Venmo at TSIO Pod, or going to buymeacoffee.com/TSIO Pod. Barely with a voice, I am Bradley, here with co-caster Jared. Jared, how are you?
Bradley, if I didn't know any better, I think you're feeling a little blue, as in Kentucky blue. Is that true?
I think it's a even deeper shade of blue than that. Let's say that I have no voice because I was yelling at the TV.
That was a close game. I can
uh,
understand the vocal, you escalating your vocals, given the outcome. So,
truly, it's from a cold my kid gave me, combined with remodeling a bathroom this weekend and having to cut into concrete and do a lot of dusty work, even wearing a full-on respirator. I think some of that dust just still got in there and messed me up.
That's a fun activity when it's nice and warm in Nashville, right?
Yeah. It's and this coming weekend, it's everything from the snow's going to go north of us to we could get 8 inches of snow.
Yeah. I'm thinking you're going to have a snow day or two.
It would be nice. It would be nice. As long as Kentucky doesn't get snowed.
I know you've always said on this show that Tennessee, you're always a little bit concerned with a game against Kentucky because you just, even though it's probably going to play out, it's probably going to be fine. Kentucky is always, especially in basketball, and I feel like you kind of spoke that into existence this past game.
So in the last 102 games at Tennessee, at Thompson Bowling Arena, at Food City Center, at Thompson Bowling Arena, Tennessee has won 100 games when they are leading at halftime. Those 2 losses to Kentucky, both of them. I can't explain.
And that would make sense any other year, but this year you could argue that
Kentucky's down a bit.
And Tennessee's
down.
I thought was stronger,
but should be very, very strong.
I still think Tennessee is strong. That's what baffled me. Is what Tennessee team was that? Because that's not the Tennessee team I'm expecting. Yeah, certainly when Auburn plays them. So
I'm hoping that there's this element of we're still trying. We've got the front court thing figured out. It's our back court. We got turnovers. We got poor 3-point shooting, poor decision making. Hopefully, we're figuring that stuff out. I was nervous even before the Kentucky game because Tennessee and A&M. Tennessee did not have a lead, if I remember correctly, until 5.5 minutes to go in the game. Ends up going to double overtime.
When you got into overtime, that's where I thought, okay, Tennessee's got this. And then
Nick Ament had, I think, 4 points in the first half, finished with 23. He had a really great game in the second half and overtimes. But then against Kentucky, I mean, Kentucky didn't have a lead until 35 seconds to go in the game. I mean, it was just, and Tennessee led by as many as 17. Just complete meltdown. And I don't even know if we had anybody foul out in that game. I know we had Jacoby Gillespie foul out in the A&M game, but those Kentucky games, they are tough. Kentucky plays us really strong, and we've got the football permanent opponents next year.
Mm-hmm.
Tennessee's are Alabama, Kentucky, and Vanderbilt. And I've said this before. Kentucky really doesn't feel like a rival in football. They do in basketball. Yeah, and I feel like it's almost, well, they're rivals in basketball, so let's make them rivals in football. I feel like that it's part that and part who else is Kentucky going to have every year. But I hate losing to Kentucky. By the way, those other games on Tuesday night: Alabama over Mississippi State, Florida over Oklahoma, and then we had quite a few Wednesday games. Vanderbilt gets their first loss at Texas.
Yeah, and not their only loss now, as we continue to chat.
And that Texas loss was awful by 16.
Yeah, that was not the Vanderbilt I was expecting in that game.
No, Arkansas beat South Carolina by 34.
Mm-hmm.
Ole Miss beats Georgia, which surprised me. Georgia is a pretty good team this year. Auburn falls to Missouri, and Kentucky beat LSU by 1. That was another comeback. Kentucky had back-to-back comebacks. And then Saturday, Florida handed Vanderbilt its second loss. That was in Nashville. Georgia rebounds against Arkansas and beat them by, 14? I mean, Georgia handled Arkansas pretty well. Alabama beat Oklahoma. We already talked about Tennessee and Kentucky. I do not want to talk about that game anymore. LSU beat Missouri. A&M beat Texas. Auburn does get a win against South Carolina, and Ole Miss beats Mississippi State in the hardwood version of the Egg Bowl. So Vanderbilt, back-to-back losses, undefeated until Wednesday night. I mean, they're still a solid program, but I think, I hate to say it, I think Florida figured out some things against Tennessee, and they're starting to roll. And taking that show on the road and beating Vanderbilt at home is impressive.
I concur.
So I don't know. The SEC, I'm having a hard time seeing how it's as strong as it was last year, with the highest ranked team in the AP being, I believe it's Vanderbilt at 15. I'm looking at it. I don't see anybody higher than that, but it's Vanderbilt 15, Florida 16, Alabama 17, Arkansas 20, Georgia 21, Kentucky, Tennessee getting a few votes, A&M getting a couple, but
yeah, I took the time to check out some of the other competition, the other conferences, and I watched. I like UCF, since I'm in Florida, and I watched UCF play Arizona, and I already know Arizona is top dog for a reason. I saw them, just put a beat down on Auburn. I think we lost that game by like 30 or 40 points. It was so bad, and so when I watch teams like Arizona, it's like, okay, that's a team that just knows how to win and does it well.
Yeah.
So yeah, when I look at that and then I compare some of the SEC teams and their current level of play, it does make me question how strong the SEC is this season. I don't anticipate, we'll go into the postseason just being scrubs, but I do think right now there's some teams that need to find their identity. So
yeah, I mean, you've got Arizona and Nebraska, who are both undefeated.
Mm-hmm.
Arizona is number one, and got a pretty good hold on that. Nebraska is 7. And in between them, you've got a bunch of one-loss teams. UConn, Michigan, Purdue, Duke, Houston. Houston's one loss came to Tennessee.
Yeah. More reason why, this is baffling to me that Tennessee's where they are.
Yeah, because Houston is a really good team.
Houston's amazing. So,
They had a great team last year. There's a reason that they came up just short.
Right.
Because they're very, very good. And the way that Tennessee was able to not just stay with, but beat Houston, man, I thought this is something special. And I don't know what happened to that team, because I look at several players and I think we've gotten even better. I think Ament has gotten a whole lot better since that Houston game. I think the chemistry of our guys down low has gotten a whole lot better. But I think turnovers have really hurt us here recently. I don't know what's gotten into that. I don't know if guys are trying to make too many things happen, but I'm getting a little frustrated with Tennessee basketball.
Understandably.
Especially when, once again, in that Kentucky game, something that I've seen happen not just this year, but in other years, a team go on a run, especially in the second half. And whether it's to catch up to Tennessee or to pull away from Tennessee, the resolve in the team to battle back from that, it's tough to come by. I don't know. I guess I wanted to think that it was the players. Rick Barnes is a Hall of Fame coach, but this is happening with too many different rosters. I don't know. I think something needs to shake up a little bit to help fight that. Because that's whatever it is. It just it's kind of an Achilles heel. And I know something that Rick Barnes preaches, especially being a defensive-minded coach, is if things aren't going your way on offense, just put on more steam on defense. Make something happen on defense. And I feel like they're kind of doing that. At the same time, I think if things aren't going your way on offense, just protect the basketball. Don't turn it over. I think that needs to be kind of the game plan at this point.
Yeah, that's infuriating.
Anyways.
Yeah. Auburn had a very frustrating loss, and then they came back and bounced back, and they played South Carolina, and they were able to get a victory there at home. They got 2 tough games coming up. One is against Florida in Gainesville. That actually is on the day of my anniversary, and I was originally trying to persuade my wife to go to that game with me for our anniversary. We opted not to do that, but I intend to at least try to watch some of it that day. So with hope, optimism that Auburn can make a good showing of that game, but I don't know, man. Florida's looking pretty good. So
yeah, that's hilarious because what an anniversary that would be. I guess you kind of have to let your wife's team win.
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah. Okay. We'll just agree on that. But you and I, kind of deep down, I can only imagine. If You and I are doing the wink here. It's like, okay, your team won, good for them, but deep down, it's still soul crushing. So,
Yeah.
it's
Um, Auburn does have a good matchup against Ole Miss.
yeah, I'm thinking maybe that could be a good road win. So we'll see.
Yeah. Other games happening Tuesday: LSU at Florida, Oklahoma at South Carolina, Vanderbilt at Arkansas. I want to see how Vanderbilt bounces back because that is a tough test.
Vanderbilt, yeah, is that game's at Arkansas? You
It's
said that's
at
in
Arkansas.
Fayetteville. Okay, that's gonna be a tough one. Yeah,
Real tough. Georgia
Fayetteville,
at
Arkansas
Missouri.
plays good at home. So
Yeah. Then on Wednesday, Texas at Kentucky, Mississippi State at A&M, and your Saturday slate: Ole Miss at Kentucky. That should be good. Georgia at Texas, Oklahoma at Missouri, South Carolina at A&M. As you mentioned, Auburn at Florida, Vanderbilt at Mississippi State. Let's see, I guess it won't be the third Saturday in January. The fourth Saturday in January is Tennessee at Alabama, and LSU goes to Arkansas. Again, some really good basketball happening this weekend.
can we just real quickly just give a little bit of a shout out and some props to Indiana, who are your national champions
Yes, I was
in
just about to
football?
say
Not in basketball, in
no.
football.
The
Yeah.
the game has gone final. By the way, I do need to say that I was wrong about this game. This was a much closer game than I expected.
It was. I agree.
Miami's defense had as good of a game plan as you can get, holding Indiana to 27 points, and the way that Miami was able to score 21 points on Indiana is pretty impressive. Even they even put themselves in position towards the end with a not quite a Hail Mary, but with about 45 seconds left, taking a deep shot. Miami throws an interception. Carson Beck was going to Miami. Really, the right choice?
Well, I mean, he did get to the national championship game, so he just played a tougher Indiana team. So I would say yes. He got paid $4 million, and I mean, hadn't taken a class in 2 years because he graduated 2 years ago, which I thought was funny. So I'm gonna say he did just fine.
He did just fine.
Yeah.
So as we talk about football, I know you're saying before we got started, you've been, I guess, pleasantly surprised. Maybe not so much surprised, but pleasantly hopeful with the way Alex Golish has been in the transfer portal. Talk to me about what your feelings are, kind of as we're starting to wrap up portal season. I mean, there's a few more out there, but for the most part, everything's kind of starting to settle.
Yeah. So it started out just kind of this rush of USF talent coming over, and I think while that is
Which makes sense because,
yeah,
hey, my coach just went to an SEC school. If you'll have me, I'm going.
right, and that's what happened. And I think anybody who understands, modern day NIL, modern day transfer portal, coaching changes, we saw this already work with Kurt Signetti at Indiana. He brought over a lot of players and talent from James Madison. And so to think, okay, these G5 guys coming over from USF to Auburn. To me, it's just not what we're used to, and it doesn't translate. But it's a silly way to look at it. These are guys that are battle tested and had a winning season, and Golish knows he can rely on them. And then we got the bigger names a little bit later from USF. We didn't get the big names from USF right out of the gate. We got kind of the probably the people that are going to fill in and role play and that kind of thing. And then we got, Byron Brown, we got, Singleton, their, main receiver. We got a kid named Koger, who's a freshman, who's just an outstanding wide receiver. Got a couple of guys I started getting excited about. Okay, these guys are going to do good. And then, it's the question that Auburn fans was asking is like, okay, we're seeing a lot of talent from USF, but where's the talent from P4 schools? Where's the talent from these other places? And that took a little bit to get going. We knew there were visits, but we weren't getting immediate gratification and these, people signing right away. And that to me was like, well, okay, what's going on? I know we needed offensive line and defensive line, so those were, players that we needed desperately, and it just wasn't coming very fast. But now that we've reached the end of the deadline period, I'm very pleased. We've got over 30 players, and they're not the sexy pick by some standards, but they are very smartly selected guys that we got out of the portal from a variety of places, and they're not all G5 guys. They're not all lower level guys. These are P4 players that are coming in. Some of them had some injuries and they're healed up and they're ready to rock again. But a lot of them have experience. And but we did get an awesome edge the other day, the same day we beat South Carolina in basketball, and that was a really good day for Auburn fans because we got Deshaun Womack, who's a unbelievable edge from Ole Miss, and to be able to pick him up, we needed another really strong edge player, and we got one. And so that, I think, all in all, I'm really pleased with the way Golish and the crew has handled the portal, and they're not done yet. There's going to be probably a couple, handful of other guys that probably sign, and we signed another one today. That was like a cornerback, but he's from Chattanooga, and it's like, okay, does that guy really play a lot? Maybe, or he might just be, on the roster, and I don't know. They got him for a reason. So we'll see what happens there. But I overall, I'm really happy. I'm happy that we have guys that want to be at Auburn. I'm happy that we're not pulling a LSU and spending $60 million. I've heard it's $60 million. I don't know if that's true, but I heard they're spending between $50 and $60 million on the roster for next season, and it's just like, no way. That we've done that. Well, not done that, but we had the guys that were just pushing for the bag of money, and it didn't work. We've had losing seasons every year when we subscribe to this, let's overpay these kids. And so now we got kids that are hungry and want to be there, and a lot of them are guys that need that last year to prove themselves, and a lot of them are younger talent. They're excited to be a part of what's going on at Auburn, and we're not overspending on these guys, and they want to be there. So it's like a perfect balance. So does that equate to 8 to 10 wins? I don't know, but I like where we're going. I like the philosophy. I like the mindset, and already we're bringing in a lot of good recruits, high school recruits, although I'll admit it, Bradley, it's a little disheartening after the last year or two to get excited about high school recruits when you think, okay, they're just going to be with us a year and then go hit the portal and go make money somewhere else, because we saw that happen to a lot of our players this year. But I have to fight that. I can't just let my mind go there, although it does go there now. It's just like, I'm afraid to get excited about this new, tight end prospect that committed to Auburn. He's class 2027, because my fear is, okay, he'll come in, won't play much or won't do much, and then he'll As soon as he starts doing anything, he'll hit the portal and we'll lose him.
Yeah.
But and you can't live like that. So, all right, that's my rant. But yeah, I'm pretty happy overall with Auburn football. And when they're not done yet, we did miss out on a really awesome defensive lineman that had an Oregon visit right after us, and I feared that. I knew as soon as I saw that, I was like, okay, Oregon's going to throw this guy back as a defensive lineman from North Carolina, and we really needed a player like this guy.
Yeah.
And sure enough, he went to Oregon. They opened up the checkbook and he signed with Oregon right away. So it's like, okay, well, we didn't get him, but that's okay. There's still some guys out there. They'll find the right people they need. We have good defensive linemen already. It'd be nice to have another good one. So, but yeah. And then I saw today that Auburn, I believe, has a preseason ranking of number 5 in baseball. I don't know how accurate that is, but it is getting me more and more excited about baseball coming up, even though we're still in the middle of basketball and just concluded football. So yeah, is this not all evil and terrible things? There's some good stuff happening. So
Yeah. No, I think that finding the right pieces is more important than finding the best pieces. I hear Tennessee fans say, so and so's the best receiver in the portal. We need to go get him.
yeah, but Tennessee hasn't done that. Now you and I were talking before we hit record, and I love actually how Heupel's handled the portal. I'm paying attention, every day to X, seeing tweets and seeing, what's happening in the portal. And I'm seeing Tennessee just sign this guy and this guy. And I'm like, oh, man, that's awesome. Like,
Yeah, so
I'm feeling pretty good about Tennessee, even though I'm not, the diehard Tennessee fan. I'm feeling pretty good about you guys and how you fared with the portal so far.
yeah, so it's interesting because this is the most active Heupel's been in the portal since he's been at Tennessee. We got a couple of guys, really good guys from Penn State, I think, following Knowles. An edge guy.
I don't think that's a bad thing. I know people were down on Penn
all.
State last year, but I think that is
not these Coleman and Gilliam. I mean,
yeah, these are guys that got some talent and battle tested, so I think they're going to be nice additions to the balls.
There are a couple guys transferring out that really make me scratch my head. Ricky Gibson, our corner, one half of our stellar cornerback duo that went down to injury this year. Jordan Ross, one of our edge guys. I mean, he was a contributor. That's got to be a money thing.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Oh, if it's LSU, it is a money thing. So
Doorslayer, our tight end, I think struggled a little bit, but I thought he did pretty well. He's going to Oklahoma. We got Caleb Herring, an edge guy, going to South Carolina. So some of these just make me scratch my head. Then we did get an Auburn corner, Kayan Lee, and another defensive player from Penn State, Amir Campbell. Other guys coming in, safety from Michigan, TJ Metcalf. I think this guy.
Yeah, that's a good one.
This guy plays mean. A Penn State safety. Safety from Kansas State, Moss. I think he was one of the first safeties to commit to Tennessee in the portal, and everybody was really excited about him. And then we get 2 more.
Well, I know Auburn didn't want to see Lee leave, and that's a good pickup for Tennessee.
Yeah.
So,
we got a running back from Tulane. We got a tackle from LSU, another offensive lineman from West Virginia, another corner from Colorado, another safety from App State. tight end from South Alabama, edge guy from Tulane, a corner from Michigan, and what really is scratching my head, we had our starting middle linebacker, Arian Carter, declared for the draft and has since decided to not enter the draft, but to transfer.
Yeah, and he's not the only player that's done that. There's been a few players at schools that have done that. Auburn had a wide receiver, Eric Singleton. Yeah, he ended up going to I think Florida State. Same thing. It's like, what the heck?
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. Singleton did not go to Florida State. He went to Florida, and the reason he went to Florida is because prior to being at Auburn, he was at Georgia Tech, and Georgia Tech got their OC poached by Florida. So there was ties, at Florida for Singleton, and Auburn's sitting there thinking, oh, it's sad to see Singleton go to the NFL, and then it's like, oh no, he's not going to the NFL.
Oh, yeah.
He's going to Florida, and we got to play him.
Yeah, he's not.
What happened here? Yeah.
So, that's a head scratcher. A great running back, Peyton Lewis, transferring out to Virginia. Doesn't really make sense. I know today, or yesterday, it was announced that Tennessee was getting a transfer quarterback. Not the splash transfer, but I believe he's from Colorado, and a lot of what I'm hearing is they're bringing in somebody not necessarily to start, but could potentially start, but to push George McIntyre for who could possibly start this year. So,
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but as a Tennessee fan, aren't you okay with McIntyre? Like,
oh yeah,
why is that? Why is that so bad? I don't think that's that bad.
I don't think there's anything bad with it. I think
it's not. It's not the sexy pick from the portal where you overspent, but maybe that's a good thing. And you did get that serviceable quarterback. You've gotten a couple of them actually, but the one from Colorado that you just mentioned.
Yeah.
So I think Tennessee's just fine.
So here's the other question: what's going to happen with Joey Aguilar? Because,
well, you won't find out till like February. So, because there's a chance he could always come back too, right? So
he could always come back, and this is. I mean, I think this Tennessee's kind of in this position where, okay, we've got our quarterback of the future, George McIntyre. Right behind him is Faison Brandon, number one player in this year's high school recruiting class. We'll bring in this guy from Colorado who's got a little more experience to kind of challenge McIntyre. And this way, if Aguilar can get another year of eligibility and he recovers from this surgery, removing a tumor that was pushing on his bicep, no big deal to have McIntyre sit another year.
Yeah, I agree.
The only thing about McIntyre is I hope he puts on weight this offseason because there's just not a lot of mass to him. But as far as just his talent and ability, he's just fine.
Yeah, I agree.
So I think Tennessee's in a really good position. Added a lot of key pieces. Added a lot.
Well, if you get Aguilar back, then it's even better. So it's just like the cherry on top. So
yeah. So we'll see. But I feel pretty good about what Tennessee's been able to do. And a lot of Heupel's success in the portal starts with being able to keep most of his key pieces. And I think I know there's some faces that I'm going to be sad to see go. But I think he's doing a pretty good job of keeping the most pivotal pieces, or enough of the pivotal pieces to survive one year to the next with somewhat of a similar roster. Whereas you've got somebody like Signetti. Of course, Signetti hasn't had the time to recruit high school players, but Indiana won with the oldest roster, I think, in college football. I think they only had 2 starters who were not a junior or older, which is really impressive.
Yeah, pretty amazing.
But Signetti was like, I'm going to take experience over star power, and it worked because
it worked. And who would have ever guessed Indiana would be a national champion in football? That's unbelievable.
When you're paying $60 million for a roster, I'm looking at you, LSU.
Yeah.
How is that going to affect your locker room? Because now you've got a bunch of guys who
bragging about their money, showing off their cars. And these kids, they come from nothing. They're going to spend that money.
Well, and you get a bunch of, and not all of them are going to be alpha males, but you get a bunch of alphas in there. And what happens when they butt heads?
Dude, this is a recipe for... It's either going to work in an incredible way or it's just going to not. Not produce the result that they want, and it's going to reflect ultimately on Lane, right or wrong. And maybe he deserves that after some of the antics he pulled with Ole Miss at the end there.
Yeah, I mean, it's either going to work like it did for Ohio State a year ago, or it's not. And I don't know.
Ohio State's always going to be good, but we saw what happened to them this year.
Yeah.
So they were good, but they didn't win the Big Ten, and they certainly didn't win the national championship.
Yeah.
So, and Ohio State, okay, yeah, you did get a win over Michigan, but good Lord, Michigan's gone through their own mess. So, I don't know.
It's.
I know. I'm glad I don't cheer for a team that spent $60 million on a roster of kids that are going to be potentially. I am not convinced that's going to work. We'll see. We'll see.
And truthfully, the ones who lose out on these $60 million rosters that don't win a national championship are your donors. Because
that's just so stupid.
These big old checks, but hey, I guess they got money to burn.
They better.
Joneses of the world.
I don't even think Oregon, who has an open checkbook from Phil Knight, is spending that kind of money. So, what in the world? I can't understand why they think that's the right way to do this, but that's the way they're going about it. So,
and I guess they feel like, especially when you get a brand new coach trying to fill out their roster, because
which they also. Yeah, I mean, he's the highest paid coach now, or definitely close to it. If it's not the, he's right there. Unbelievable.
It's LSU fans. I hope you're happy because you're paying for it. And it's, I mean,
when it doesn't work, if it doesn't work, then what? What do you do?
That's exactly where I was going.
I feel like you're then going to have to pivot to where Tennessee and Auburn are already, and other SEC schools have already jumped on the wagon and kind of explored and trailblazed and went through those growing pains.
Yeah.
So I feel like LSU's behind if this does not produce a championship right away.
Yeah. But I mean, I think that's why they went after. I think that's why they went after Kiffin, is because they thought he was one who could get them a championship right away.
Yeah, and if Levitt gets hurt, then you got Longstreet, who was at USC, but he's unproven. We don't know how good he actually is.
Yeah.
Man, that's a lot of what ifs. We're going to find out. So,
well, I mean, I don't know. Kiffin's done more with less, I feel like.
Yeah, well, he has. And I think it could very likely be that he'll regret the way this was handled down the road. And if that's the case, that's on him. So, So it's win or bust. So if they don't win, I think skipping out on Ole Miss was a mistake. That's my opinion.
Yeah. So here's a broader question for you. Um, I feel like I heard this brought up somewhere else. Is so the Big Ten has won the last 3 national championships. Is that right? Indiana, Ohio State, Michigan.
That's true. That's hard to admit, but it's true.
It is hard to admit. And the SEC not being in the championship game at all. Has the SEC peaked? Are we on? Are we on the backside? Has NIL and the transfer portal taken away from SEC's dominance? Because now, I mean, look at bowl season. What do we have? 2 wins against non-SEC foes. It was not a good bowl season. Meanwhile, the Big Ten had a stellar record in the postseason. I want to say they had 2 or 3 losses of all their bowls, but I don't know. What are your thoughts?
I think my head is about to explode. Is what I just I'm just so desperate to see my team do better. So everything else is kind of like whatever. So,
That's true.
sorry for the flippant answer, but it's true. So
Yeah, the Big Ten went, I think 10-5, while ACC was 8-4. The SEC went 4-10, but I believe 2 of those wins were over SEC opponents.
mm,
I mean, that's that's far from a winning record.
yeah,
That's just what blows my mind is how off the mark the SEC was this year, at 4-10, and watching the Big Ten go. I can't remember where I said a minute ago. 11-5.
yeah. That's I don't even want to think about it. Yeah, it's nasty, but this is it ebbs and flows, right? So we dominated for so many years, or we being the SEC, mainly Alabama, and now other other conferences are getting their due. So it's only fair, I think. But yeah, I'm not convinced you're not going to see a competitive Tennessee next season, and I'm hoping you're going to start to see an Auburn turn things around. So
yeah. By the way, the Pac-12 undefeated this bowl season, 1-0. Good job, Washington State.
yeah, well, and if you have any expectations, what are they for the Pac-12 this next year? With the new players, a part of me's intrigued by that. I'm kind of curious to see how it goes.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not so bad. I don't know.
Yeah, well, it all remains to be seen. I do think that the NCAA is not going to be a help in NIL.
Man, they've got to figure something out. It's too nasty.
It's going to have to be something that I think is spearheaded by the SEC and Big Ten.
Yeah.
And come to an agreement of, hey, here's how we...
Is it going to be a situation, Bradley, where the NFL draft is so greatly affected that now the NFL's like, dude, what the heck? Because these guys are staying longer in college because, they'll make more in that 1 year than they would make in a rookie contract in the NFL.
I mean,
So
I don't know. I think it ends up making the draft better because
that's a good way to look at it. Yeah.
you've got guys who would likely be late round picks, who, or I guess not day one, not day two picks, who decide to stay to make some money, and they boost their stock, and now they're day one, day two picks. And it kind of, I mean, it elevates the whole draft class, recruiting class, draft class. So, I mean, I think that the NFL doesn't mind these guys staying and developing. It gives them more time to see tape on these guys, which I know the teams are like, hey, we'll take all the tape we can get, because it's a gamble. It's a gamble to risk a pick on somebody, especially when it's not like the transfer portal where okay, so we need a cornerback. Well, let's go get 3 and see which one works out. In the draft, you need a cornerback. You got one shot.
Yeah.
You get 53
You
guys.
spend a lot of money on you got to get that right. So,
yeah. So if I'm the NFL, I think this is actually making my product better.
Yeah.
As all the dust kind of settles on transfer portal and NIL and all this, I do think that you'll see fewer guys like Cam Ward, who end up at a Miami after starting at Incarnate Word, then going to Washington State, finally ending at Miami. You're not going to have the Steve McNairs who get drafted from Alcorn State. The Brett Favre, where'd Brett Favre go? Southern Miss?
Yeah.
You're not going to see those guys because those guys are going to play 2 or 3 seasons and then get picked up by Tennessee and Auburn, Florida State, somebody who puts them on a bigger stage. But you're also going to have that tape of them playing against more top tier talent and get a better feel for how are they going to translate to the NFL. I think the NFL's fine with all this.
Okay. I appreciate that perspective.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking through all that, and I don't think that, I mean, because especially the SEC and Big Ten, you feel like these are the NFL development leagues, and the more guys you see go through that league, the better idea you have on how they're going to perform. You feel like so.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a wild time. I did want to hit on a little bit of baseball, because there've been a few things going on especially with Tennessee baseball. So we all know Tony Vitello went to the Giants. By the way, I don't think I've talked about this. Frank Anderson, who was our interim head coach, also went to the Giants. So, Elander put together new staff, got a guy from Florida who I think is really good. We'll see how long he can hang on to him, because a lot of people say, and I don't know how to pronounce the guy's name. It starts with a J, but he apparently is a name that pops up when head coaching positions come open in college baseball. So we'll see how long they can hang on to him. He's our new assistant head coach. So I still think Elander was a great hire, keeping the team together. You got some good returning guys. Do I have? I'm trying to remember if I've still got them pulled up. But the biggest name and probably easiest name to remember, Henry Ford, transfer in from Virginia, third baseman. Turned down the MLB draft to play another year of college baseball. And why not go to Tennessee? Tennessee probably has as much money as anybody to put towards baseball. But just returners. Our catcher, Lawless. First baseman, Levi Clark. Manny Mirren and Ariel Antigua. Antigua is a fan favorite. He's like 5'5", 5'6". Can play shortstop or second base. And just really fun. And then outfielders, Newstrom and Chapman. Reese Chapman, really loved watching him last year. And then our big returning pitchers, Tegan Coons and Brandon Arvidsson. The bullpen does not look as stout as in years past, but I think we'll be just fine. So spring training is underway, and getting ready for mid-February, opening day. I feel pretty good about Tennessee, considering all the turnover at the head coach position, and really just the coaching staff in general. I think there's a lot of consistency that Tennessee's got that is not always there. I think it's still the hot place to be. But as I'm looking at the SEC, this is, and you referenced this earlier with Auburn having a top 5 ranking. College baseball in the SEC, it's going to be really stout, and we'll have to see how it all shakes out as the season gets started. But just from the SEC, you've got LSU at 2, Texas at 3, Mississippi State at 4, Arkansas at 7, Auburn at 9, and this is D1 baseball's rankings, and I've seen there's a few others. It's not like football where you've got coaches poll, AP poll. It's just it doesn't garner enough attention for that. But there are several different rankings. D1 baseball being one that is highly regarded. Then you got Florida at 13, Tennessee at 14, Georgia at 15, Kentucky at 18, and rounding it out are Vanderbilt and A&M at 23 and 25. So that's a whole lot of teams. But you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 SEC, 11 out of 16 teams from the SEC in the top 25. That is crowded, and that's going to have a heck of a that means a heck of an SEC season. LSU. It is hard to beat LSU. They are just a fantastic program. Texas, this is their second year under their new head coach. If you'll remember, right after A&M lost the College World Series to Tennessee, the press asked A&M's head coach, "Hey, there are these rumors you're going to Texas. Are they true?" And
yeah, I remember that.
He just laid into the media like, "How dare you? How dare you start rumors?
How dare you be right?"
Yeah, and then next thing everybody knows, he's announced as Texas's new head coach, and this is pretty much the equivalent of an Auburn coach being asked, "Hey, are you going to Alabama?" "No, I'm not going to Alabama." And 24 hours later,
yeah,
here's your new head coach. But for Texas A&M to be in the position that they are, ranked in the preseason, tells you that they got a good thing going. Vanderbilt's always going to be a really good program as long as Tim Corbin's there. Kentucky's good. Georgia's good. Florida is a heck of a team year in, year out. And Arkansas, I'd say Arkansas has been, I guess, with LSU and Vanderbilt, those three have been really setting the pace for SEC baseball for a while. So we'll see. Mississippi State, always good. And Texas has had a great program for a long, long time. They've had ups and downs, but preseason ranked 3. I'm ready for baseball season.
It's coming.
So
yeah, hopefully you don't have to throw in a towel on basketball yet. But yeah, baseball's right around the corner, and it's gonna be fun.
Yeah, I cannot wait. So here we go.
Well, Bradley, I want to tell you how much I've appreciated this football season, interacting back and forth, and we've enjoyed some basketball. We're going to continue to enjoy some basketball, and then of course baseball. But yeah, it's been a fun football season, and yeah, looking forward to continuing these conversations. But thank you, sir. Appreciate all that you've committed to this podcast, and making sure people are having that water cooler chat about SEC football as they should. So,
well, I'm glad to be here. If I don't choke on,
and we encourage you not to do that
on all this dust.
Yeah.
So I'll make it short. You know where to find us. You know that you want us to. We want you to to share the show with friends.
Do. Please, sharing is caring.
Absolutely. I'm going to sign off with a Heroes Come in All Sizes and Roll Vols.
And, of course, War Eagle and Bradley, congrats to Indiana.
Tailgate, pancake, living room, pre-game, burgers, ribs, chicken wings, chip and dip,